Hey guys, welcome back to BLT's Projects, and our project today is a Honda Fourtrax. Alright guys, so for the back brakes, it's pretty easy. You don't need a whole lot of things. You're going to need gloves and safety glasses if you want them, brake grease, WD-40 to get those stubborn bolts off, and brake cleaner to clean the inside of the drum. You also might want a torque wrench so you can torque everything back the way it is, flathead screwdriver for prying, maybe a breaker bar. I use a powered ratchet. You can use a regular ratchet. You will need a 27mm socket for the castle nut and 17mm socket for the lugs on the wheel. You may use a reducer to go from a 1/2 inch drive to 3/8 extensions. This 10mm will be used for the brake bleed portion of the video because we're going to do the rear brakes and then bleeding the brakes on the front side. And you'll also need brake fluid. So those are the tools you'll need. So now that we got the tools squared away, let's go ahead and get to work. A lot of the brake systems, I think, for these are pretty similar. One of the first things you're going to do is obviously take off the tire. The other thing you want to do is you'll come back here and you'll loosen up these brakes. You'll loosen up those wing nuts on the brakes. So it makes it easier to get the drum off of so the brakes aren't compressed on there. Just makes it easier overall. Also, there's a dust cover that sometimes sits here. Looks just like this. And it goes up underneath there. That has two 12mm bolts you'll need to take off. And then you'll take off the tire, which I believe is a 17mm nut. Unlike the front, you will have a once you get to this castle nut here, you'll have a cotter pin just like this, okay, which is not any different, but the size is, this castle nut is a 27mm nut. So you'll take that off, and once you take all this off, I recommend that before you break any of this stuff loose, you use plenty of penetrant spray. I use liquid wrench, use WD-40. That way if any of this stuff's rusted on, it just comes off much easier. So there's the castle nut. That's a 27mm. Then once that comes off, the hub comes off. No problem. Should just slide right off. You may need to maybe take a hammer and knock it. These two nuts back here, I just used a adjustable wrench for those. They actually came off pretty easy. So you'll slide those off. Make sure you put them back on in the same order they came off. So keep them stacked just like that. Don't change that. Then you have a little plate here. That pops off. Just like that. That comes off just like that. And then you have bolts up here. You have 6 8mm bolts. Again, those are going to have some rust and stuff on them. Use a little bit of WD-40 or liquid wrench or something, get those off. Then if you look here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a little indentation right here in the metal. And you can put your screwdriver behind there and start gently prying this off. And just ever so gently pry it off. Okay, this metal behind here, this is not super stout, so you may bend that back. So just gently just kind of work it off, and then it comes off just like that. You may decide to replace this bearing in here, but you don't have to. I think a lot of bike shops probably would, but we're not going to because we don't use this for a whole lot, just basic stuff. Then you've got your actual drum brake. When you get to this part, you take a dead plow hammer, 1, 2, 3, 4 around the sides, and it'll just pop off, just like that, okay? There may be an O-ring in here that'll come with it. Just keep that somewhere safe, and sometimes there may be an O-ring in here. Just keep that with you and put that back when you're done. Then you're actually to your actual brakes, which are right here. You've got your brake drum right here. And those are just like the front. I put a little liquid plumber on there to help those springs out. So those should just pretty much come off. I don't believe there's anything holding them in place, so those should just pop off. So we'll take those off. Just like that. And those are your rear brakes. And there is just nothing left on those rear brakes. So you can see the difference. It's pretty much just worn down to the nubby nubs here. And then you've got all this pad that is going to go on the new one. So we'll get those installed. You'll put grease and all that all over this. Make sure you clean out the inside of your brakes, right? Put brake cleaner, clean it all up, and then reinstall it and you'll be ready to go. Make sure you tighten your clamps and you'll be ready to rock. That's how you do a rear brake job on a Honda. First thing you're going to need to do is take these screws out. Be very careful taking these out. A lot of the videos say that they will break or strip, so just be careful taking those out. So let's take those out. I have these loosened already. And mine, fortunately, did not strip. So now this reservoir is actually empty. So we're going to pour this in here and see if we can get this to bleed through. If you're doing this as a one person, if like you're the only person doing this, you'll need a pair of vice grips. And that's going to be to hold the brake lever against the handle, because you'll need to put some brake fluid in and then, you know, press it up a little bit and all that. So we'll get some brake fluid and I'll show you down below where you use your wrench to bleed the fluid through. See you in a minute.
Okay, so to bleed your brakes, you're going to pull the lever and hold it, and then open your brake bleeder valve on your brakes. Once that's open, you're going to pump it 5 to 10 times, and then hold it, close the bleeder valve, pump 5 to 10 more times, hold it, open the bleeder valve, pump 5 to 10 more times, hold it, close the bleeder valve. And just repeat that process until it's done. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave your comments and questions below, and I will be happy to answer them. And remember, guys, if I can do this stuff, you can too. So get out there and give it a shot. Have a great day.